Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to Hidden Korea, the channel where we uncover the untold stories behind the brightest stars. Today, we bring you a revelation that has set the entire K-drama world ablaze. After a long and emotional silence, Park Eun-bin has finally spoken out following Rowoon's enlistment. And what she said has left fans utterly shocked. What happened between these two beloved stars? What truth lies behind her unexpected words? Stay with us, the story begins now. The morning air in Seoul felt unusually heavy that day, as if the city itself sensed that something was about to break. The world of Korean entertainment, normally so glittering and perfectly composed, had been eerily quiet since Rowoon's sudden enlistment. Fans were still reeling from his emotional farewell, and social media had turned into a storm of questions. Why had Park Eun-bin, his longtime co-star and rumored confidant, remained silent? For a week, her name hovered in trending searches, wrapped in uncertainty. Every post she didn't make, every photo she didn't upload only added to the growing tension. People began to whisper, was she avoiding the topic? Or hiding something? Then, just as the silence became unbearable, Park Eun-bin finally appeared. Flashing cameras. No media announcement, only a quiet live stream. Her face, pale yet determined, filled the screen. The world seemed to hold its breath. "Thank you for waiting," she began softly. Her voice trembled slightly, the kind of tremor that reveals more than words ever could. Behind her, the light of a single candle flickered, its flame dancing across her expression, part sorrow, part strength. "I wasn't ready to talk before," she said. "But I think, now I have to." From that moment, the illusion of calm shattered. She spoke about Rowoon, not as the idol everyone knew, but as a person. She recalled their early days working together, when fame was just a distant dream and everything felt pure. They had shared long rehearsals, laughter between takes, and the quiet understanding that exists between two people standing beneath the same spotlight. But then came the fame, the interviews, the unending gaze of millions. "Changes you," she admitted. "And sometimes, it takes away the person you thought you knew." Her words hit like a thunderclap. Began posting frantically. What did she mean? Was she talking about Rowoon? Did something happen before he enlisted? Eun-bin paused, tears glimmering but refusing to fall. "We had a promise," she continued, "before he left. We met one last time. It wasn't supposed to be public, but it was real." The story unfolded like a slow-burning tragedy. They had met in a small cafe near the Han River, disguised in hats and masks. There, amidst the quiet hum of the city, Rowoon had spoken of fear, not of the military, but of what he was leaving behind. "He told me he didn't know if he'd come back the same," she said. "And I told him I'd wait for the person I knew. The one the world expected him to be." Those words, "I'd wait for the person I knew," spread like wildfire across the internet. Within minutes, they were quoted on every major site, replayed, dissected, and twisted. Some fans called it a confession. Others said it sounded like goodbye. As the live continued, her emotions grew more turbulent. "Want to talk about it?" she whispered. "Because sometimes, love and pain look the same on camera." Then, her tone shifted, lower, heavier. "But there's something I need to tell you," she said, locking eyes with the camera as if staring through the screen. "The night before he left, something happened." Silence. Her lips parted, but for a moment, no sound came out. You could almost hear the faint crackle of the candle beside her. "When we said goodbye," she finally said, "he gave me something. Not a letter, not a gift. Something I wish I had never opened." The chat exploded with questions, theories, and panic. Eun-bin took a deep breath, studying herself. "I can't say what it was," she continued. "Changed how I saw everything, him, us, even this industry." For the first time, her voice broke completely. "I thought I knew him. But that night, I realized there was another side of Rowoon, one the world had never seen." Her confession sent shockwaves through the fandom. Was she implying betrayal? A secret? Some hidden truth buried behind the idol image? No one could tell. Every sentence she spoke only deepened the mystery. When the live ended, she didn't say goodbye. She simply looked into the camera and whispered, "You'll understand soon." Then the screen went black. The aftermath was chaos. Twitter trends erupted with hashtags like Park Eun-bin Live, Rowoon Secret, and Hidden Truth. Fans began revisiting old interviews, analyzing gestures, glances, even lines from their dramas together. Some claimed they had seen this coming. Others refused to believe any of it. And then came the rumors. Anonymous sources began to surface, someone from the set of their last project. Someone who claimed to be a friend of Rowoon's. They spoke of late-night arguments, tearful rehearsals, and messages that were never meant to be seen. The press devoured every whisper. For Rowoon Bin, the storm had just begun. By the next morning, her agency released a short, cold statement. Park Rowoon Bin's recent live was a personal expression. Please refrain from speculation. But the damage was done. Her face was everywhere, headlines, gossip shows, digital billboards flashing her image beside Rowoon's military photo. That's when the second wave of shock came, a leaked audio clip. The recording, allegedly taken the night before Rowoon's enlistment, captured a fragment of a conversation, her voice trembling, his tone low and regretful. You promised, she said in the clip. You said it would never happen again. Fans froze. What did he do? What promise? And what was it? As the audio spread, one thing became clear: the story wasn't just about love anymore, it was about something far darker. Something that blurred the line between devotion and deception. The world wanted answers. And Rowoon Bin, whether she liked it or not, had become the center of a storm she could no longer escape. That night, Seoul didn't sleep. The leaked audio clip echoed across every corner of the internet, dissected by millions of ears hungry for the truth. Comment sections turned into battlefields, fans defending Rowoon's purity, others accusing him of betrayal. But amid the chaos, Park Rowoon Bin remained silent. No statements, no appearances, only the haunting memory of her trembling words, "You'll understand soon." 3 days later, the understanding began. An anonymous post appeared on a small Korean forum. At first, no one noticed, until someone pointed out the timestamp. It had been uploaded exactly 1 hour before Park Rowoon Bin's live stream. The post read, "When the truth comes out, remember, she tried to protect him." It was a blurred photo of a small box, black velvet, sealed with a red ribbon. Beneath it, a single line, "The thing he gave her that night." The internet exploded again. Speculation became frenzy. What was inside that box? A letter? A recording? Evidence? News outlets demanded answers. Paparazzi camped outside her apartment. But Rowoon Bin stayed invisible, swallowed by the very shadows she had conjured. Till the following Sunday, at precisely 9 p.m., her verified account posted a video, not live this time, but pre-recorded. The thumbnail showed only her hands, trembling slightly, resting on a wooden table. When it played, her voice was calm but cold. "I didn't want to do this," she began. "But there are things I can't let be twisted anymore." Camera slowly tilted upward. Her face appeared, pale and hollow-eyed, the reflection of a sleepless week. "What you heard in that recording was real," she said. "It wasn't the full story." She took out the small black box, the same one from the photo. She whispered, "Is what he gave me." Fingers hesitated, trembling as she untied the red ribbon. The sound of the fabric sliding against a box was almost unbearable. Inside lay a small silver pendant, shaped like a teardrop, glimmering faintly under the dim light. It looked innocent, too innocent. But then she held up a folded note beneath it. "He told me not to read it until he was gone," she said. "Right after his enlistment. I did." Her eyes filled with tears. But she didn't cry. "I found words that weren't meant for me. Words he wrote to someone else." The world froze. Her voice cracked. "He wrote, 'I wish things were different. I wish she didn't have to find out this way.'" Every syllable dripped with heartbreak. The realization dawned. It wasn't about a scandal, not exactly. Betrayal disguised as devotion. Love tainted by hidden truth. Rowoon Bin's tone grew harder. "He was scared," she said. "Losing fame. But of losing control over the image he built. The perfect idol. The flawless gentleman. But behind that image, he was human, and humans make choices that destroy everything." The pendant gleamed in her hand. "This," she said, "wasn't a gift. It was an apology." The video ended abruptly, no outro, no message, just black. The silence that followed was louder than anything she could have said. Within hours, Rowoon's agency issued a statement denying everything. They claimed the note was fake. Video emotionally manipulated. Fans were torn apart. Some turned against Eunbin, accusing her of cruelty. Others stood by her, saying she was brave enough to expose a truth no one wanted to hear. The line between truth and illusion blurred. Image, every smile, every behind-the-scenes clip of the two together was now seen under a different light. Had it all been a performance? Then, as the controversy reached its peak, another leak surfaced, this time, CCTV footage. The grainy clip showed Rowoon and Eunbin on the night before his enlistment, outside the cafe by the Han River. They weren't arguing, as the rumors had claimed. They were standing close, inches apart. At one point, he reached out, brushing her tears away. Then, something small and metallic glinted in his hand, the pendant. No words were heard, but the gesture was unmistakable. He placed it in her palm, then turned and walked away without looking back. Pause and anger. It was farewell. The footage reignited the emotional storm. Fans began to understand, this wasn't about exposure or revenge. It was about closure. A love story that ended not with hatred, but with something far sadder, silence. Days turned into weeks. Eunbin withdrew completely from public view. Her projects were postponed, her social media inactive. But her video remained, millions of views, endless comments, countless interpretations. Some said she wanted sympathy, others said she wanted peace. But one thing was certain, her words had changed everything. Then, unexpectedly, a letter surfaced. Not online, but through Rowoon's official fan club, handwritten, with his military insignia. It was brief, only a few lines, but enough to ignite the final wave of emotion. Those hurt by what's been said, and to her, especially. I never meant to cause pain. The truth isn't clean, but my feelings were real. Please remember me not as a rumor, but as a person who once cared deeply. No one knew if Eunbin ever saw the letter. She never replied, never spoke of him again. But months later, when she finally appeared at an award ceremony, dressed in white, beneath the blinding lights, something about her had changed. She smiled. Not the radiant smile fans remembered, but a quieter, steadier one. When asked by reporters about Rowoon, she simply said, "Some stories aren't meant to be fixed. They're meant to be remembered." And with that, she walked away from the microphone, calm, untouchable, leaving behind the noise and chaos that once consumed her. The world of Korean entertainment slowly moved on. New headlines, new scandals, new stars. But for those who had witnessed it all, the candlelight, the confession, the silence that followed, the story of Park Eunbin and Rowoon became something else entirely. Not just a love story, not just a scandal, but a haunting reminder that beneath the shimmering perfection of fame, the most human truths are the ones that break us, and, somehow, set us free. Winter came early that year. The cold crept into Seoul like a ghost, wrapping every corner in gray mist. Streetlights flickered over the Han River, the same place where their final goodbye had been caught on camera months earlier. And though the headlines had shifted to newer scandals, something about Park Eunbin's story refused to die. It lingered, like a haunting melody that no one could forget. Every few days, someone would post an old clip of her laughing beside Rowoon, or a behind-the-scenes photo from their drama days. Sportin', they looked so happy. How did it end up like this? The internet had turned their love into mythology, dissected, debated, distorted. Eunbin herself had disappeared, leaving behind only that single, unforgettable video and a silence that felt like a wound. Then, in late December, she returned. No press conference, no announcement. A short message on her verified account. "It's time to finish what I started." Within minutes, her post broke the internet. Fans and reporters flooded her feed, demanding answers. And that night, as the clock struck midnight, another video appeared. This time, the setting was different, colder, emptier. She was standing outside, snow falling softly around her, the distant glow of Seoul behind her like a memory fading into the dark. She looked thinner, her hair unstyled, voice low and steady. "I know many of you are tired of this story," she said. "Before I let it go, I want to tell you what really happened after that night." Her breath turned to fog in the air. Rowoon left. I received messages, not from him, but from someone close to him. They said there were things I didn't understand. That the letter I found wasn't the only one. She reached into her coat and pulled out a second envelope, slightly crumpled, with faint water stains. This arrived a week after his enlistment. No sender name. Just my initials written in his handwriting. He opened it slowly. Inside, a single page. The ink smudged but legible. She read aloud. If you're reading this, then you've already seen what I couldn't say. Didn't lie to you, I just couldn't tell you everything. What I left behind wasn't betrayal. It was protection. One day, you'll know why. Her eyes flickered with pain. I didn't understand then, she whispered. But now I think I do. She looked directly into the camera. No melting in her hair. There were people who didn't want him to be honest. People who thought truth would destroy everything we built. They told him to keep quiet, to play the role. Protect the image. And he did. Until the very end. Her voice trembled as she continued. He wasn't hiding another woman. He was hiding his exhaustion, his fear. It wasn't about love, it was about survival. Old fell silent again. Fans who had once cursed his name began to cry. The narrative twisted one last time, not of betrayal, but of sacrifice. The perfect idol who broke under the weight of perfection. Actress who carried the burden of that truth. Eunbin's voice softened. He told me once that fame feels like standing under a spotlight that never turns off. You start to forget what darkness feels like. But when the light goes out, you're terrified of what you'll find. She paused, eyes glistening. I understand that fear. The video cut to a brief clip, one no one had ever seen before. It was taken on a phone. Showing Rowoon laughing. Waving at the camera. He was in uniform. Hair cropped short. Smiling as if he were trying to hide sadness behind that grin. His voice echoed faintly, take care of yourself, Bina. Promise me you'll smile again. Green faded to black. Then, her final words appeared. Written in white text over silence. I forgive you. That was it. No outro. No music. Just an ending, raw, quiet, and devastatingly human. The reaction was instant and overwhelming. Comments filled with tears, apologies. Confessions of guilt. Fans who had once taken sides now wrote messages of peace. They were both victims, one said. Victims of a world that demands perfection. The industry responded, too. Some praised her courage. Others accused her of manipulation. But even her harshest critics couldn't deny the power of her final act. In a world addicted to noise, she had ended her story with silence, and somehow, that silence screamed louder than anything before. Weeks later, Rowoon's fan club shared one last update. He had seen the video during a short military break. According to someone close to him, he didn't say much, just stared at the screen for a long time, then whispered. She finally knows. It was the last anyone heard from either of them. Months passed. Spring returned. Eunbin resurfaced quietly, attending a charity event for mental health awareness. She spoke briefly on stage. Her voice steady and sincere. We live in a world where every emotion becomes content, she said. But behind every headline, a human heart trying to survive. I've learned that forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself from what broke you. The audience stood in silence. Then applause erupted, not the excited cheer of fans, but the slow, respectful sound of people who had just witnessed something deeply real. Later that night, as she left the event, Paparazzi caught a glimpse of her walking along the riverbank. She stopped for a moment, looking out across the water, the same place where everything began. Then she smiled, faint but genuine, before disappearing into the night. Somewhere far away, inside a military dorm room, a young man looked up at the same moon and smiled too. The story of Park Eun-bin and Rowoon became legend, not for its scandal, but for its truth. A reminder that love, in its purest form, isn't about holding on. It's about letting go, even when it hurts. Years from now, when fans would rewatch their dramas or replay their live stream, they wouldn't see just two celebrities. They would see two souls who dared to show the world what lies behind the perfect smile, heartbreak, forgiveness, and the quiet courage to walk away from the past. In that silence, their story would live forever. And so, as the lights dim on this haunting tale of truth and heartbreak, we come to the end of a story that was never just about fame, nor about scandal, but about two souls caught in the storm of their own humanity. Park Eun-bin and Rowoon's journey reminds us that behind every dazzling spotlight lies a shadow, fragile, trembling, and real. Taught us that sometimes love is not a promise to stay, but the courage to say goodbye with grace. That forgiveness is not weakness, but the quiet strength to heal when the world demands more pain. To those who have followed this story from the beginning, who felt the ache, the mystery, the beauty within the chaos, thank you. Thank you for listening, for feeling, for remembering that even in a world obsessed with perfection, it is our imperfections that make us human. This has been Hidden Korea, where we uncover not just the secrets of stardom, souls behind them. Until next time, keep your hearts open, your minds curious, your empathy alive. Because every story, no matter how broken, deserves to be heard.